Hello and welcome to Bat Flips and Nerds, the baseball podcast with a British twist. I am your host this evening, Ben Carter. We're back after a little hiatus, not for the first time we've taken a hiatus, but yeah, Happy New Year to everyone, belatedly. Hope you're all doing well out there. Joining me to discuss some of the off-season fun, I've got two of our real baseball savants in the building, starting with Rob Navera, wearing an Orioles hat tonight. How are you, Rob?
I'm feeling great because I have an Orioles hat. It's really orange. And you know what? As much as I'm not particularly fond of the Orioles, I've got to say, when it comes to hat swag, I do think the Orioles are, for like standard hat, this is probably one of the real best out there. I really like the Orioles hat.
Yeah, they've got some good merch, haven't they? Also joining us this evening, you may have just heard him there, and putting on a hat for a team I can't quite identify yet. It's Darius Austin. He's given up on the hat. How are you, Darius?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah. It has been a while. It's been, I guess, since, the first weekend of November? That whole World Series thing that happened. Good to be back on a pod. And I think we've got quite a lot to talk about.
We do. Yeah, last time we spoke, we were both a little bit delirious, having watched one of the most insane games and series I can remember seeing. At the very same time, a lot has happened and almost nothing has happened since then, such as the baseball offseason. I personally have not been following it that closely, other than seeing the occasional, Jeff Passan bomb and things like that. Have you guys been staying very connected to every minor transaction, or have you been taking time off from baseball news, Rob?
No, every minor transaction. I know where every Rule 5 has gone. I've been following the exploits of everyone DFA'd from the Rockies. I am totally zoned in on the minor transactions. God only knows about the big ones, because I'm not sure some of the teams know what they're doing with the big ones either. But the minor ones, I'm there for.
Well, I think you maybe are teasing a pod we're going to be doing at some point in the next maybe month or two, where we're going to look at some of the under-the-radar signings, shall we say, that have taken place over the off-season. But I think today we're going to focus a bit more on some of those bigger names. And it feels like some of those dominoes actually have fallen in the last few days. It was obviously a quiet period. Maybe that's, Christmas and New Year related. But now it feels like some of the bigger names that had been waiting are starting to sign on the dotted line. Darius, have you been keeping a close eye on everything? I feel like usually you're pretty on the button with these things.
I have. I'm somewhat, contractually obliged to do so. Baseball prospectus, certainly for two of the divisions, I have to pay attention to the minor transactions. Time to plug the Baseball Prospectus Annual, available to purchase now. Will be out very soon in the next few weeks. Lots of great work in there. Do read that. But yes, I have been following the dullest of dull transactions, just because we have to. So, yeah, I know everything that's happened. I don't know everything that's happened.
Fair enough.
Rob does, but only the minor ones. If you
only the minor ones.
More than $1 million, then it's nothing.
Yeah,
Rob
no idea.
Care.
Rob does it for the love of the game. There's nothing in his bat flips contract about having to know anything about baseball, so this is just pure.
And I show that regularly.
Right. Well, I think we're going to start off talking through some of the big off-season transactions. We have had a little bit of sort of breaking news transaction-wise as we started to record, which is always exciting. Usually happens as we finish recording, so nice that it was to start the pod this time. So I think we're going to maybe do a quick draft of our favourite moves so far this off-season, free agent signings. I'm going to let you guys take this in whatever way you want. You can either just draft the players that you are most excited to see wearing new laundry next season, or you can draft the contract that you like the most or the fit that you like the most. We haven't really put any rules in place for how this draft's going to work. But we've got a good list of sort of 5-10 different names here of fairly major guys who've now signed new contracts. I'll maybe let you kick us off, Rob, seeing as you've been keeping a close eye on all the moves.
The little ones.
All the moves. Which of the bigger moves, Michael Toglia accepted, are you most jazzed about after the winter we've had so far?
It's a hard way to think about this. So do I go with Jazz because it's an interesting move, or do I go with Jazz because it's it's a good move for a team or something? Because some of these are big moves that make absolutely no sense whatsoever to my small mind, and others are you can see where they're going. So I'll start with a traditional one then. So I think the first one that really seems to make sense to me, that I think is a really good move. They win. It's Wilson Contreras to the Red Sox. I think that's a bang on, spot on fit for a team that's just had disaster written all over first base for the last few years. I think he's a decent first baseman, which nobody saw coming because, of course, traditionally a catcher, but decent first baseman as part of what has been terrible infield for the Red Sox. So there's already an increase there. His profile for hitting, I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal against the city pinball wall at Fenway. It gives a chance for Casas to come back a bit more slowly. He's not been durable. He's had a horrible injury. It's going to take him some time to get back from that. And I think you've got a natural platoon there, and you've got someone who can play DH. It gives Casas a chance to go and get some rehab time in the minor leagues if he needs to as well. It shouldn't do with spring training, but yeah, it just really, really fits. I mean, he himself has had a terrible time at the Cardinals, recently. That it's been bad for him between eating bat tape and getting kicked out of being a catcher. It's not been a lovely fit for him there over at the Cardinals, which was supposed to be a big move for them, the beginning of them pushing back towards something that really matters, and it hasn't happened. So I think Wilson Contreras is a star of the game that we need to see a bit more in a team that's going to be doing well, and I think this is the place for him. Spot on move, and I think he's going to look good in the Red Sox.
Yeah, I like that one. As you say, I think Casas obviously has struggled so much with injury, and there's I guess theoretical quite nice platoon between the two of those guys there. One who can mash righties, one who can mash lefties when they're both fit. So yeah, that's a nice move for the Red Sox. I know that maybe some of their fans would have been a bit upset about missing out on one of the other guys who signed somewhere, but I think that's a sneaky good addition to their lineup when Contreras is clicking. Darius, which move did you like the most so far this winter?
I'm going for Tatsuya Imai to the Astros. I think we've seen maybe certainly two and perhaps all three of the MPV converts get less money than we expected. But I think Imai was considered to be a pretty high upside starting pitcher. We've certainly seen guys in recent years come over, Shota Imanaga being the most recent, I guess, and have pretty big success. I think I can at least be in that category of pitcher. So I love the deal for the Astros. They needed a bit of rotation help with Valdez leaving. There's some questions at the back end, so to have him to join Hunter Brown at the top there, I think is really good for them. And they're obviously looking to overturn what was pretty disappointing season for them, actually not making the playoffs for the first time in forever. So yeah, really love that move, and I was just generally quite excited to see how it gets on in MLB as well.
Yeah, I won't pretend to know much about MI. I'm not a big MPB watcher, but I know that he seems to be on that sort of middle tier. Maybe the comparison you make is apt. Certainly not on the level of some of the bigger names that have come over the last couple of years, your Yamamoto's and whatnot. But I think he seems to be on that slightly tier below, and it seems like a good deal on paper at that value. Is it one of those where he's got opt-outs after every year, where in theory it could be a one-year deal if he dominates this year? I think
it's the Bregman from last season. If he does well, he'll just opt out immediately, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's a nice move for him because, like you say, if he does turn out to be unbelievable, then he can cash in more next year. And for the Astros, it's a pretty low risk at that amount of time and that amount of money option to fill out their rotation. And it's always exciting getting guys over here who we've just have never seen play, who have done well over in Japan, and just see how they adapt to the majors. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Rob, any strong thoughts on MI and excitement around him?
Not specifically him. I think it's more talk on what we know about the Japanese players. I again don't pretend to know an awful lot about him, but what I've been hearing elsewhere is that there's such a pitcher-friendly situation in the NPB at the moment that we really don't kind of know how good these guys are going to be compared to MLB, because it's all a bit skewed. So I think these three guys are going to be a bit of a litmus test this year, and then next year, in theory, is when if they're good, I reckon we'll see a wave of this, and they're all going to get paid. If they're okay or not so good this year, I think it might sort of set it all back a little couple of years. But so it's a really interesting one to see what's going to happen for future years, because I think this is, as I said, a bit of a litmus test.
Yeah, I'll actually keep it on a similar note, and I'll put Munetaka Murakami down as my pick. I hope I'm getting his name right there, but he obviously another guy who's coming over from MPB, who maybe surprisingly signed a deal with the White Sox of all teams for a 2-year, $34 million contract, which again feels pretty low risk for the White Sox. I don't know what the projections have Murakami down as, but that feels probably lower than what we anticipated for him. I know he is he's a big fella, isn't he? And he's not old. He's 25, but he's probably limited to playing first. But I know there's a ton of power in that bat, but also maybe the concerns that he could just strike out too much to even be able to pass as an everyday regular. So I guess at least with that investment for the White Sox, who are a team certainly in need of taking home run swings, metaphorically and literally, it feels like a nice match for them. You know, he's been a record setter over in Japan. I think there'll be a lot of excitement around him, which is something, again, the White Sox have been missing for a few years now. So I think that feels like a really exciting deal and something that White Sox fans should be, amped for. And we have seen hitters from MPB, I think, take a bit more time to adjust in the past, just because maybe, as you say, Rob, that league is so different in terms of the way pitchers dominate that sometimes there just is that period of having to adjust to the majors. But we've also seen guys really succeed who've come over, Seiya Suzuki, obviously, for the Cubs, and plenty of others who have been able to make it work. And I'd be interested to see if he can have a great couple of years for the White Sox, and then again, he'll be young enough to maybe sign a further extension if all goes well. But knowing the White Sox, he'll probably be out of the league by August and unable to hold down a job. But I don't know if you guys know more about Murakami or have anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just because I feel like this was a little bit telegraphed. Certainly the projections are very high. I think Trade Room has had him at 180 million. So the 34
really?
is a long way off. I don't think others were quite as high, but still triple digit in the millions. But there was a lot of chatter, in the run up to him being posted about how high the strikeout rate had been in Japan, which, as you said earlier, has been a pretty pitcher friendly league lately. So maybe that has something to do with it. But he has really seen a close to 30% rate each of the last 3 seasons. So if you're looking at him striking out 34, 35% of the time in MLB, we are talking, Joey Gallo. And Joey Gallo had some good seasons, but Joey Gallo also had some, can you really play this guy seasons? And he was a much better defender than Murakami is. So I think that's why we've ended up here. I think MLB have looked at that. I think there was a lot about him really struggling against high heat, which you don't see very much in Japan. But when pitchers were throwing hard against him, he was really struggling. And it clearly seems like a lot of teams have said, you know what, we don't think this is going to play. White Sox is a perfect place, perfect team to take a flyer on him if it works out. He's a young guy. He could easily mash 40, 50 dingers in the big leagues with the power he's got. So it could be fantastic, or it could be, a 180 batting average and out of the league by August.
It is a little surprising to me that it was the White Sox. I had the same thoughts about Ohtani when it happened, but I do wonder if he got kidnapped at the airport and driven to the wrong stadium. Because, I've been to O'Hare, it's big, it's a monster of an airport, and it's very, very easy to go the wrong way. I imagine, was he supposed to be at Wrigley? Who knows?
Just sees the ivy going further away in the rearview mirror. Hang on, what isn't that where? Oh, hang on. Right, let's do another round then. Rob, back to you. Who's another player that you liked the move for this winter?
I've got so many here that I want to talk about, but not many of them about actually being any good at anything. Let's go with the stupid one then. So, I'm going to go with the Homer pick. I liked the trade of between the Rays, the Pirates, and the Astros, which sent Brandon Lau, Mason Montgomery, and Jake Mangum to the Pirates for a couple of prospects, and somehow the Astros got involved. And I really like it for the Pirates because there are some really good guys here, and it almost feels like it's a bit of an undo of the Chris Archer trade a few years ago, because that was a disaster for the Pirates to the Rays, and I think this is going back the other way because I do not get this. Sure, the Rays want to trade on Lau before he hits free agency, but Mason Montgomery is an absolute flame-throwing lefty who's just not quite got there yet. And Jake Mangum has speed and on base to spare. Like there's some really interesting guys here, but they've just spaffed them away for some prospects, but who knows how good they are. And yes, it's the Rays, so these will probably turn out fantastic. But right now, this looks like the Pirates have done a damn good job, and they're going to have a much better showing of it. Maybe the Pirates aren't the place to fix Mason Montgomery. I don't know. And Brandon Lau will be just another interchangeable bloke in that infield, but I think it's a good move for them and a bad move for the Rays. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the long run, but there we go. I like that one. I like that one for the Pirates.
Yeah, I'm glad you weighed in on that because I wouldn't have been able to give quite as much detail on some of the guys on the Rays side. But I think injecting a bit of talent and young players to the Pittsburgh lineup is a good thing. I know they were sniffing around Kyle Schwarber for a bit, weren't they? Or at least claiming they were sniffing around Kyle Schwarber for a bit, which never really felt like it had any legs. But yeah, that's a nice move. I think they also signed Ryan O'Hearn, didn't they? So it feels like they're trying to do things that make the team better, which isn't always a given with the Pirates. So that's nice for them. And yeah, the Rays, I mean, you kind of assume there's always something that they know that we don't. But this one did seem a little puzzling. Darius, did you see it the same way?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the normal reaction you have to a Pirates trade, which is, usually either they've just made a horrible mistake or here's Bob Nutting dumping a load of money. Those are usually the two types of Pirates trade. If they had to happen to be spending any money on anybody in the first place, then they usually got rid of it pretty quick. So yeah, it's moderately encouraging. It's still very Pirates coded, isn't it? When I think Ryan O'Hearn's their biggest free agent deal for about 10 years or something, isn't he? And it's $29 million. So we're not quite there. But it sounds like they were genuinely engaged on Schwarber. It seems like maybe they're trying to surround Paul Skeens with a team that could conceivably hit a little bit, which would be nice for the poor guy. So yeah, I'm moderately encouraged by the Pirates' attempts, and they've certainly got some talent. I love watching Montgomery pitch when he knows where the ball is going. So yeah, I think it could be a pretty good trade for them.
I think moderately encouraged is about as excited as anyone's ever been about the Pittsburgh Pirates, so that's a good start for them. Darius, I'll go back to you. What's your next favourite transaction?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go with the third MPB signing, Kazuma Okamoto signing with the Blue Jays. Just in general, been really impressed with the way the Blue Jays have approached this offseason. They're not sat there going, well, we made it to the World Series, we'll just run it back. They've really gone out hard and looked to upgrade their lineup, not just with Okamoto, but they've also added Dylan Cease to the rotation, obviously. But I like Okamoto more than Murakami. I think he seems like a more stable profile. He's got a bit more defensive versatility to him. I think he's going to hit for a much higher average, and that lineup is looking pretty deadly to me. So yeah, excited to see him play. I think really excited to see Toronto this season because they were already a pretty great team last year and they've got better. So yeah, good move for them.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about him, but that feels like a low risk move, exciting one, and like you say, their lineup was already so good that if this is something that helps push them over the edge, they're going to certainly be a World Series contender once again this year, which will be fun. For my next one, I'll go with the obvious. I'll go with Alex Bregman, who signed last week with the Chicago Cubs. I think one of those big dominoes that we'd waited a bit on to fall. Rob's shaking his head at me. I look
no.
You don't like it. I like Bregman as a player, and I look. It's a lot of money, and he probably isn't the player he was 3 or 4 years ago. And I think you can make the argument that his reputation has maybe always outstripped his actual production. But I think the Cubs had to go out and do something, having let Tucker walk for free. I like Bregman as a fit for them, even though their infield is now very crowded. I think a right-handed bat is good. I think he's a great locker room presence. I love the fact that they signed him about an hour before the Chicago Bears pulled off one of the craziest playoff comebacks of all time. Like, what a night to be in Chicago as those two things kind of happened all in the space of a few hours. And I like the other move they made last week, picking up Edward Cabrera, which feels like a nice move for them, getting some extra help for the rotation. I think that they needed to kind of get off their hands and do something. And look, that Bregman contract might not look great come the very end of it, but if you don't, what's the point in keeping this money if you're not going to spend it? He was probably the best player, Tucker aside, left on the market. So a good move for them to go out and get him and make them better. But Rob, I can really feel you ready to rebuke me.
Hey, look, I have no issue with the number of years and the money. That's what you have to pay. That's absolutely fine. My problem is the Cubs have let Tucker go. This in isolation, fine, yeah, no problem at all. Add Bregman, it's a great move into maybe as you say, a slightly crowded infield, but this isn't Tucker. If you've let Tucker go and you've got this is not a good trade. If they were to trade these guys 1-for-1, you'd be like, what the hell has happened here? This is a disaster. So, no, Cubs, do better. Hey, they have time. Maybe they will do better. Maybe Tucker will go there. I don't think he will. But this isn't isn't making up for it. It is a smoke and mirrors trying to make us think that they are making up for it, but it is not enough. And so I don't think they deserve their kudos for I was trying to think of something like they've chucked the gold out and they were like, yeah, we'll have that copper. Let's take that instead. That's what they've done here. It's not a good trade. So don't let them put the smoke and mirrors over your eyes. It's not good. They've traded silk for cotton.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. Tucker's a better player, and if you're going to spend the money, why not spend it all and get him back? But it feels like maybe
all the money.
For whatever reason, that relationship had fallen apart a little bit, and I don't know how seriously they made a play for Tucker or whether they just got too rich for their taste. But at least they went out and did something. I guess there are a lot of teams that haven't done much at all, so I like that for them. Darius, any strong views on the Bregman deal?
I sort of see where Rob is coming from, and I feel similarly about the Cabrera deal, sort of in isolation. Also, like, quite an interesting player, different point in his career, potentially a lot of upside, but it still feels like they're playing below the top of the market, and it's the Cubs. They should be able to play at the top of the market. They should be able to go and get an ace. They should be able to bring back Kyle Tucker, and obviously they can still do those things. But it seems like they are pitching themselves just kind of in that second tier a little bit, after a season when the Brewers had their number yet again. So we'll see how it plays out. It's never bad to have Alex Bregman on your team. But I would like to see the Cubs show a little bit more ambition in terms of who they are targeting, because they have seemed to shy away from these real blockbuster guys when, this is a top 5 team in baseball in terms of earning potential, in terms of the amount of money they have at their disposal. They should be up there with the Yankees and the Red Sox, but they're not.
Should we do one more round quickly?
Yeah.
Quick fire.
I've got another 4, but I'll take one. Yeah,
you can give us all 4 if you want.
So where I really want to go, and it's not a good move. It's not a good move. It's a move I want to talk about though, and that is Alonso to the Orioles. Wow, isn't this great? This is fantastic. Chris Davis too. We've got another one, everybody. We have another one. I remember watching the Rockies play the Orioles and just thinking, oh God, here comes Chris Davis again. I am so I really wish this guy was on my team. And then Chris Davis happened, and he even looks a bit like him. There is so many parallels here with Chris Davis and Pete Alonso. So I'm just absolutely stoked to see this all go so horribly wrong in 2 years' time, and I wish no ill on Mr. Alonso himself, although he did seem like a bit of an odd bloke. I just love how this is history repeating so horribly. It's totally going to happen. I can totally see it, and no one will talk me out of this being Chris Davis Mark II.
I feel like we've been waiting for the Pete Alonso fall off for a couple of years now, haven't we? And it hasn't really happened yet, but it does feel like when it does, it will be dramatic. And it would be very Orioles for it to happen for them as soon as they sign this huge contract for him. I like it because it's exciting and it's fun and it's new player, new city, and the Orioles needed to do something, didn't they? And I mentioned Baz earlier, wrongly saying he was going to the Cubs, but that also quite exciting for them. It feels like they're at least... They've learned their lesson from last year, where they kind of didn't do anything, thinking we've got a great team, and then it all fell apart. So at least they're trying. But yeah, it does. That does feel like one that could end in disaster. Darius, who have you got next on your list?
I think I'm going to pick Josh Naylor back to the Mariners, just because Josh Naylor seems like a pretty fun guy. The Mariners had a pretty fun time last season, and it's nice to see them do something on the hitter side, actually keep somebody around who helped their lineup quite considerably. We'll see whether he comes out and, steals a ludicrous amount of bases again. But he just seems like quite a good personality, and they seem to love him over there in Seattle. So I have given Jerry Dipoto a lot of grief on this podcast over the last few years for not supplementing one of baseball's best rotations with offensive players. So I thought I should take the opportunity to say, hey, well done for actually signing a hitter to a long-term contract.
Yeah, my instant response was that is a lot of money for Josh Naylor, but he has been productive. And I know no one is following his stolen base pursuits more closely than you are. That was an unbelievable twist in the tail last year, where he suddenly became baseball's best stolen base guy. So that's a fun deal. And like you say, it seemed like a great fit player in City. Another guy who it feels like could maybe fall off a little cliff once the age hits a certain point. But that's a fun one. My last one's kind of a fun one too. How could I not talk about my old favourite player, Nolan Arenado, who somehow is still limping around the league, getting shipped off to the Diamondbacks in a pretty major salary dump from... when I say salary dump, the Cardinals are still mostly paying his salary, but he'll be playing for the Diamondbacks. Which, is that not a perfect fit? You almost think he could have been playing for the Diamondbacks forever, Arenado. So that just seems to work to me. I think we're past his best years at the plate and in the field, but he's still an impactful defender. I think in that ballpark he could still hit some dingers. So yeah, that's just kind of a fun one to have a look at the box score every now and again and see if Nolan went deep.
You know, the Rockies are still paying him $5 million as well next year to literally play against them.
And he will hit 15 home runs against the Rockies next
year. Against the Rockies,
no
yeah, everyone does.
Yeah. We should probably finish with maybe a quick. Go on.
Was it Glaber who against the Orioles one year hit like?
It was ridiculous.
Hit like 18 home runs against them or something when they were just
and none against anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, they just couldn't get him out.
It's coming, Ben. It's coming.
There's no change there for the Rockies. It could be anyone, and they'll go deep against the Rockies. But anyway, we've already dedicated enough airtime to them. Yeah, we should probably maybe quickly touch on the Ranger Suarez deal, which literally has been signed an hour or so ago now. He's gone with the Red Sox 5 years, $130 million, no opt-outs, no deferrals. He is on the older side, I think 29, maybe 30, so this will take him through to his mid-30s. He's never really been a power pitcher, has he? He's more of the deception and control and movement guy. I think the Red Sox, maybe this was a slight knee-jerk reaction to getting pipped to Bregman. I feel like they had to go out there and do something. But it definitely makes their rotation stronger for this year. So it feels to me like a nice deal. You're never going to get a guy of his caliber for less years than that, I think. And it's not going to hamstring them too much. So my opinion, good deal. Rob, agree?
Oh, totally agree. Absolutely. That Red Sox team is quietly going to be chipping away right up behind the Blue Jays. So I mean, I actually have them in my mind slightly ahead of the Blue Jays at this point, but yeah, absolutely.
Darius, any concern about his stuff translating in the next few years?
No, I don't think so. You know, he's been a pretty solid pitcher. I mean, there is some uncertainty around exactly what the Red Sox infield looks like, obviously. They've got a lot of very young players who have not really proven themselves yet. We don't know what's going to happen with Marcelo Meyer. We don't know what's going to happen with Christian Campbell. Trevor Story is probably not the best defensive shortstop at the age of 33. So for a ground ball guy like Ranger, maybe not the best fit for him in that regard. But it's, the Red Sox having put Gray and Suarez into this rotation, I think is exactly what they needed to do behind Garrett Crochet. So yeah, good for them. And he's still, I think, he turns 30 this season. So it's not like they're signing him into his late 30s or anything. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's a pretty mean 1-2-3 for them now. They'll be forced to be reckoned with this year. Should we quickly do predictions for the sort of remaining big free agents? I think we've got a list of 6 of them here that have yet to sign. My guess is...
Oh, I've only got 5.
Only got 5.
It's a good start.
That'll be fun. Although I haven't made my own predictions for any of them yet, so this is going to be made up on the fly. But I imagine by the time this podcast even comes out, 1 or 2 of them will sign again. As I say, it does feel like the dominoes are starting to fall now, and we're obviously getting closer to pitchers and catchers reporting and players getting a bit panicky if they haven't got a team. Let's start with the big dog, Kyle Tucker. Rob, Kyle Tucker next year will be playing for the...
It's the Mets, which is the really stupid, boring answer because the offer is on the table. It's big money, and it looks like it's going to happen. So, I've done my very, very best with these predictions to go at least a little bit off piece. But this one, it's railroaded. He will be a Met or outside chance a Yankee if they can get rid of Stanton somehow. But otherwise, he's going to New York.
Yeah, I also think Mets for Tucker. It feels like the Mets have backed themselves into a corner where they kind of have to sign him now because they've missed out on everyone else that would be an impact bat. So, I think he inevitably will be a Met. I'm interested to see what that contract looks like if it ends up being a high AAV short deal length contract where he gets opt-outs again, because that sounds like it's maybe the way it's trending, or if it's just one of those monster 10-year deals. Will be interesting to see. Darius, have you got a more interesting answer for us?
I think... interesting but still plausible. The Phillies. I think the Phillies need help in right field.
I like that.
So I would like to see that. Obviously, I'd like the Giants do it because they definitely need help in right field, but they're not going to because the Giants are the most mid team that has ever been in existence.
Let's do the mid or infield then. Bo Bichette, Darius, where's Bo Bichette going?
It feels like he's going back to the Blue Jays somehow, just because of the way they're operating this offseason. There are a lot of people that need second basemen, but I don't know how many of them are going to pay what it takes to get Bo Bichette. Feel like I haven't heard so many rumblings about Bichette either. The Red Sox are the other team that I could kind of see it, just so they don't have to think about this headache of what exactly is our infield. That would certainly tie up a spot for them. Again, you'd worry about a Bichette Story middle infield combo probably, but I could see them getting in the mix for him as well.
I had Bichette down as Red Sox. He's on my short list, but I've actually gone for the Astros. I feel like there is a nice fit for Bichette. Again, I think his bat plays nicely there, and Dubon and Altuve at second aren't doing it for me. Altuve's obviously shipping out to the outfield and then off to a canoe being pushed out and set on fire, because that's where that's going. And Dubon is great, but he's a utility guy. He's gonna be all over the shop. You don't want to stick him at second and keep him there. So I would see Bichette being a nice little fit for Houston, which has some money to spend because they've had a bit of cash off the books. So I reckon he could go there. It's probably a little bit late for like a big long contract at this point, so maybe like a 2 years, 3 years with opt-outs, and then he'll see where he can go if he rakes. But I like Houston for him.
Before we get angry,
I'm going to put him down.
Emails, I'll just point out that Mauricio Dubon is now with the Braves.
Oh, is he? When did that happen?
Quite a while ago, I think.
Oh man.
Transaction got by you, Rob. This is embarrassing.
Well, then even more. It just plays even more into my hands. Then we absolutely need Mr. Bichette in Houston. Dubon to the Braves. That makes no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. Send him back.
I'm gonna take this one in a direction that feels like it'd be a nice fit just for a player and team, and that is with your Giants, Darius. I have no idea who even plays or will be playing second base for the Giants this year, but it feels like Bichette would be an upgrade on whoever that warm body is. And
Casey
it just
Schmidt,
feels like a nice Casey Schmidt. There you go. No disrespect to Casey Schmidt, but I think Bo Bichette,
because we all know who he is,
upgrade for them. And yeah, they definitely need some help in that lineup. They are mid, so maybe that precludes them from making a big swing for him. But I think on one of those deals Rob mentioned, like with the opt-outs, it could be quite a nice move. Let him have a good season or two there and see where things stand after that. But they certainly could use the help. I think someone reported they were in the market for a trade for a second baseman. Why not go out and just spend a bit of money and bring Bichette in and kind of get the best guy available?
Yeah, they have been looking at Brendan Donovan and Nico Horner, apparently. So
oof.
Clearly appetite to do something there. But yeah, it would be nice if they would do something more exciting than Adrian Hauser and this kind of thing.
Agreed.
Not wrong with Adrian Hauser.
We've only got one lefty, or dominating lefty at least, left on the market now with the Suarez signing. That's Framber Valdez, formerly of the Houston Astros. Do we think he stays in Houston? Do you have him going elsewhere? What do you reckon, Rob?
Orioles. The only way their ridiculous situation of trading, what's his face? It's going to come to me. Grayson Rodriguez. The only way it makes any sense is if they absolutely flood with other signings now. They've got the Alonso, so they're clearly pushing chips in. So yeah, absolutely, they've got to go get pitching, and he fits there. Why not? Let's have him as an Oriole.
I think that'd be fun. They definitely need an ace, don't they? Even with some of the moves they've already made, so that feels like someone they could at least plausibly claim would be their
they need like a
frontline starter.
Everybody needs pitching, don't
Darius.
they? Like
Nobody more than the Orioles.
Nobody more than the Orioles. I mean, honestly, the Mets should sign him because Steve has an infinite amount of money, and like I like Nolan McLean. He looks really good last season, but he is pretty much their number one by default, and I believe he's still technically a rookie because he pitched under 50 innings last season. So, not sure about that rotation, Mets. There's a lot of question marks going on there. I think they could do with a nice from Valdez.
I will send him to the Padres. It feels like they've had a really quiet winter. I don't know if that's
I like that.
just because they're doing luxury tax things and trying not to spend, or what the explanation is, but usually they're one of the big animators, it feels like, in the offseason, and that doesn't seem to have been the case so far. So, why not chuck them another sort of frontline starter who can help them compete in that division and try and haul back the Dodgers. So, Valdez to the Padres. Cody Bellinger.
That makes sense.
Where is Toby Bellringer headed next, Rob?
It's just difficult. I feel like he's, to overly use a far too obvious joke, he's a bit high on his own supply here. He seems to be holding out for a deal that I'm not sure is there. So, I mean, the obvious answer is Yankees. He stays put, gets some big cash to be where he is. But if you look around the league and think, where might he be some use? Like, you know, if he went to the Brewers, they're high right now. Like, I could see him play a bit of outfield for the Brewers. So I'm going to go with Brewers, knowing full well they're not going to stump up the kind of cash he's looking for. But that's based on maybe he doesn't get the deal he wants from the Yankees and he finds himself just out in the cold. So, let's go for Brewers.
Darius?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that the Yankees are the boring answer. I'm not sure if that makes the most sense. But it is kind of hard. Like, that's where all the buzz has been. You know, nobody else. It's just Bellinger doesn't want to sign with the Yankees unless they give him 2 more years. The Yankees really want him back, but they're not going to give him 2 more years. At some point, it feels like they're just going to, arrive in some sort of concord and he'll get 1 more year, or they'll give him a higher AAV, or an extra opt out or something, and they'll just bring him back. I'll just say who ought to do it, which is the Tigers. I remained unconvinced by the Tigers lineup for much of last season. They've got the odd bright spot, but when Seal Perez is playing right field for them, they could use the help. Like, is Spencer Torkelson really, like, has he come good now? Are we convinced? I don't know if we're convinced. Feels like the Tigers are the kind of team where a guy like Bellinger play all 3 outfield spots, play first base. You've just got that safety. Then you've got the cover. You can count on him. So I would like to see them do that and, actually dominate the AL Central properly instead of letting Cleveland come back into it again. They won't, but I would like to see it.
Yeah, I think he ends up with the Yankees or the Mets would be the other team. Again, partly because they are backed into a corner of feeling like they need to spend some money with some of the names that have left them. Partly because I think that would just be a fun fit to send him there. It does feel odd because I think he's probably going to end up getting offers similar to what he just opted out of, which puts him in a slightly embarrassing spot of taking a very similar deal to the one he just decided he wanted to test the market to see if he could better. But yeah, I think that'd be a fun fit and it would help shore up some of the power they've lost from that lineup this offseason. So yeah, put him down to the Mets. Final 2 then, we can quickly go through. Zach Gallen. Where is Zach Gallen going? We'll start with you this time, Darius.
This feels like a Giants move because he probably is coming off a pretty bad season. I could totally see them doing what they've done with quite a few guys over the last few years, thinking of like Kevin Gausman, for example, where, people have maybe not quite lived up to their expected level. Giants have come in, signed a 1-year deal or something, but they can opt out after 1 year, rehabilitate the profile and then move on somewhere else. Giants have been fishing around in this part of the market, so I could believe them going after another starting pitcher here and just rounding out that rotation.
Yeah, it feels like a nice fit, Rob.
I would say the obvious answer feels like he stays put where he is, but yeah, again, boring. So I went with the Pirates because Gallen is a bit Galleon, and that's what Pirates ride on. So he would fit nicely in as a number 3 or 4 guy in there, and with some upside if he gets back to the Zach of old. So Pirates, or I said Orioles because again they need pitching. They should be buying everyone. But yeah, Pirates. Let's go with that one.
That's a fun one. I like that. I'll send him to the Cubs. They've deferred some of the Bregman money. They've got plenty more to spend. I think their rotation could still use an upgrade or 2. So I can kind of just picture him at Wrigley, with the nice facial hair and the ivy in the background. So Gallen to the Cubs. Final one.
Hair and ivy.
It just goes well together, doesn't it? Not that I would know. We're going to do Eugenio Suarez, who our good friend John McGee thought had signed with the Red Sox tonight when he saw the report that Suarez had gone there and almost lost his head completely. Fortunately, it was the other Suarez they signed, but maybe you guys think he's going to end up at the Red Sox anyway. Where do you see our favourite big bopper Eugenio ending up, Darius?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't know who needs the help the most. I almost want to say something a bit off the wall, like the Nationals, because the Nationals are all like 12, and it feels like they could maybe do with one piece of veteran leadership in the clubhouse. And by all accounts, Eugenio is just a tremendous clubhouse guy. And they'll sign him and then they'll trade him at mid-season because there'll be 20 games under 500 and everybody will be happy. So I'm just going to say the Nationals because I think it would be funny.
Feels like the Angels are going to spend far too much money on him. It's got Angels written all over it. Like they're, Rendon's gone like, well, let's spend it quickly somewhere. Let's quick. Oh no, that was a bad move. So yeah, I reckon he's going to the Angels. Failing that, Japan.
Oh, I like that. It does feel like you could like kind of make an argument for him going almost anywhere. He's just one of those players that would just kind of fit. I'll maybe follow a little bit your suggestion, Darius, of having him more as a mentor figure for a team that's trying to change their culture. I'll send him to the Pirates, who still need more bop in that lineup. I can't actually picture him in Pirates colours, but I think Suarez would be
like a
nice
pirate,
fit
though.
there.
It is hard to imagine any free agents in Pirates colours because they don't really sign
They just don't sign them.
Unless they're about to finish their career.
Yeah.
But yeah, they think they could use a third baseman. They could use any position, couldn't they? And that might be a nice fit with some of the younger talent they've got. And Murakami not Murakami, sorry, with who have they signed? If I haven't signed anyone, never mind. That would be a nice fit for them.
I do quite like Rob's suggestion because currently the Angels have like Vaughn Grissom at second base, who the Red Sox obviously just cast aside because they don't think he's any good. So you could totally believe in just moving Christian Moore back to second base and signing Suarez at third for an unreasonably long amount of time.
And you know that he would either be the
fits.
worst player in baseball or the best, or would just alternate month by month because that's just what he does, and that's what the Angels do.
Yeah. The Angels would get like a 70 WRC plus out of him for 3 months, and then he'll go somewhere else and be great.
That's it. That is the answer. Yeah.
But back to Seattle again, and take him to the playoffs.
Excellent. Well, that's that sorted then. Rest of the off-season spoiled for you, I'm afraid, folks. I thought we could quickly. We've not got much more to chat about, but another bit of slightly funky news that came out this week is that Kaufman Stadium, the K, home of the Kansas City Royals, is going to be getting a makeover this off-season. They're going to be bringing the walls in closer. The dimensions will slightly change. Maybe, Darius, you can speak a bit more to the exact impact this is going to have on players and stats, because it's quite an interesting one. Your initial thought is, great, there's going to be more home runs that will help out all the hitters there, but Kaufman is always rated as a relatively hitter-friendly park, partly because of the amount of space in the outfield, right, which will now change. So maybe some of those line drives that we're getting down will become outs, but also some of those fly balls that were outs will become home runs. So yeah, what's your initial take on whether this is good for those young Royals hitters, or actually is it kind of much of a muchness and there'll be fewer doubles, more home runs, and net result is kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, they had some interesting comments about this, which sort of suggested that they were sick and tired of watching their players change their approach because they thought they weren't going to hit any home runs. Which Royals were like 26th in home runs last season. It's not wrong. So I'll be interested to see what the impact is in that regard. They have currently a very low strikeout team, so I do worry a little bit that they've sort of already assembled a roster that in fact does not know how to hit home runs. Therefore, this isn't going to go as well for them as it might for, say, their opponents. Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez, maybe they will hit more home runs, Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, but then who's next? Like, who is on this roster that you're thinking, wow, that guy's going to hit loads more home runs now? I don't think Jack Caglianone's problem is like how close the fences are. It's will you make contact with the baseball? Then it's like, Kyle Isbell's not going to hit loads of home runs because you've moved the fences in 10 feet. So I have my concerns, but maybe they're thinking about this more in the long term than the short term, and that it will hopefully make their younger hitters not change their approach to become more contact oriented. I think it's going to hurt their pitchers quite a bit, and I do also wonder about that from the opposite perspective of how many of them have just been like, I'll give them a fly ball, that's not going to go out of the park, and find that it is now going to go out of the park. But the people running the Royals seem to be a lot smarter than the people previously running the Royals used to be, so maybe they've done all the maths and they've figured out that this is going to be good for them in the long run.
I do love the idea of the Royals being like, this is great. Our guys are going to hit so many more home runs now, and then realizing opening day that now that other team can also hit home runs. Hang on a minute, this wasn't part of our calculation at all. But it feels like this is a good news for Bobby Witt Jr., Rob. That he's an MVP candidate as it is. Does this help him become a 50 home run guy and dominate baseball for the next 5 years? More so than he already has.
Well, anything that puts that extra little bit on top for him does help because, the Royals not the biggest market team. They don't get the most coverage. You're often not looking at the Royals when good things are happening. So, if he has some Hollywood numbers on his home run hitting, that really can't help him. Can't hurt him. Sorry. Get a few eyes on him because the game's already there. He's already good enough. It's just no one's looking. So let's have some flashy stats that'll make more people look. So yeah, probably it will probably do a bit for his profile, certainly.
And the team on your hat, the Orioles, when did they bring their fences in? Was that 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it wasn't good, was it?
This is any major impact?
I was thinking about. Well, see, I've thought about this. The last few years, every time someone's brought the fences or moved the fences, we've had a bit of a discussion about it. I don't ever really remember it being particularly positive. The Marlins did it, and the Orioles did it, and when the Astros did it, they took out the Fun Hill at the back and the Tulse Hill. That went. So when was the last time someone moved the fences and we were like, oh, actually, this is fantastic? Because I don't really remember it happening.
No, it's a good point. I'm sure there are numbers to back it up. Maybe, Darius, some of them, numbers to back up, like the exact part factor effect of some of these changes. But you're right that, at least from a watching the game perspective, it doesn't suddenly feel like, oh my God, that one went out. That one never goes out now that some of these teams have moved them in.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. I think we're certainly working on modelling it at the moment at BP. But if the Royals theory is correct and their players change their behaviour based on where the fences are, then that may all sort of be a bit irrelevant anyway. If they start trying to hit more fly balls, for example, they might find that the effects are outsized. So it will be interesting to see. I have been trying to think about an answer to Rob's question about if there was a massive success story of somebody moving the fences in and it seemed to greatly benefit their team more than it hurt them, and one isn't coming to mind. Apparently the Royals did do this back in the late 90s before for 6 or 7 years, and they just went back to the old dimensions again. It worked in that they hit more home runs. I don't think the Royals were good in the late 90s, but I'm not that au fait with their history of playoff appearances, so I'm gonna look it up.
I find it hard to believe they were good.
The Rays did cut a tiny little chunk out of the left field. It was for Carl Crawford, a tiny little chunk out, and that's exactly where that ball went over on game 162 for Evan Longoria. So hey, look, that worked. That tiny little cutout they put in.
Well, that's
so what you're suggesting is that teams should just really specifically tailor bits of their park to certain players. Rob, was that just?
I mean, this was very specific. I was, if I'm honest, I was just vamping whilst you looked up how good the Royals were in their last fence move period. But what have we got?
Well, I think it was 96 or 97 they did it. So their finish when the division was 5th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, 4th, 5th, 4th, and then I think they went back in 2003. I think it was. So the most games they won in that period was 77.
Fantastic. Well done. Well done, you lot.
That is very good. I'll just move the fences back.
They did score more runs. They just allowed it.
So did the opposition, yeah.
Yeah, they scored a lot more runs and they allowed even more runs.
Funny how that works. Well, yeah, we were segueing there, I think, into a fun hypothetical that feels like your street, Rob. Yeah, which ballpark do we want to see changed next? This doesn't happen very often, but where are you putting your next cut out of the wall area, or walls moving in or back, or higher or lower? Any ballparks come to mind as needing a refresh when it comes to the dimensions?
Yeah, I mean, the team I follow is in the AL East, so we've got Stupid Pinball Park in Boston. We could cut a great big hole in that so that, we have I don't mind the top bit, so if it goes up really, really high, that's fine, that's a home run, but let's kind of hollow it out so that you can have a normal sort of lower level for line drives and stuff rather than it banging off everything. So that was one option. The other option, obviously, is get rid of the stupid short porch in Yankee Field. But I thought the real answer, the correct answer here, is it's not so much about the dimensions, but we need to put the fish tanks back in Miami.
Yeah.
And nobody. I don't think anybody. I mean, obviously the statue should go back because it's become the dullest park in Major League Baseball. But I don't think you'll find anybody arguing, other than maybe Peter, that the fish tanks were not an improvement on what we currently have. What was Jeter thinking?
Anything.
What Jeter's thinking.
Anything to make the Marlins more fun, I'm on board with. Just to understand your Fenway Park idea, are you saying the Green Monster should sort of bend like this, so
yes,
that fly balls can still go over it, but now there is more space under it? Okay.
Absolutely. There's like a cave. We'll call it like the left field cave or something, where they have to go running into to get the. So maybe if you have a right-handed hitter, he can maybe one day actually hit a double rather than getting thrown out at second on what should have been a double because of stupid Pinball Park.
I'm sure that idea will go down well with Red Sox fans. Darius, your stadium...
Everyone email in.
With the Giants feels like one that maybe, I don't know if there have been discussions before, I'm sure there have, about moving those balls in. That's obviously a tough ballpark for hitters. Is that the one that comes to mind for you, or are there any others that you think could use a change?
Yeah, well, anything that was water adjacent, I thought there should just be more involvement of the water. So can we get a moat round the edge or something, something the outfielders have to dive into to make spectacular catches.
Yeah.
So we could do that in San Francisco. We could do that at PNC's right by the river.
Kaufman.
Do it in Kaufman, yeah.
The fountains.
So, yeah, anything like that. Maybe we just have like a river running right through the centre of the field. That could be fun. Really got to watch the ball and make sure you don't land in the lake that they've put in the middle
I
of the
like
park.
this.
Yeah, that's what I want. And
I did have
flash hits all the time in San Francisco, and the players never get to take part. But imagine if you did the diving catch into the bay. That would be, on every.
You get Dave in his canoe. If you knock him over or something, you get 2 runs. I actually did have Oracle Park on my list as well. I said they should bring the outfield, left centre field, bring it in, because having visited it, that was just too busy. There was too many people around the Coke bottle. So they just need more space for people. So if they bring it into the field a bit, there's more walking space, and everyone will be happier.
And it is hard to hit home runs out there as well. So
exactly, there you go, win-win.
I like it. But yeah, the only addition I had, I think, at Petco Park, if you manage to hit a ball off the Western Metal Supply Co. sign, it should count as double runs for however many people are on base. That should be a double home run for hitting the Western Metal Supply Company sign.
You don't want to do anything outrageous to cause, 50-foot.
Well, I was thinking, is there a way you can make just centre field 500, way deeper? So it's almost like Polo Grounds-esque.
The Polo Grounds, yeah.
Which I think that would just kind of fun is the idea in my head of a centre fielder just running after a ball that is just very clearly an inside the park home run. But I mean, that stadium is broken. I don't think there's anything you can really do. They have maybe actually in recent years.
Maybe like a Mad Max 3 Thunderdome sort of situation, like 2 teams in, 1 team out, but it's tiny. It's like every hit ball is going to hit the roof. So it can't go anywhere. So there's no home runs, no home runs in cores because you've got a tiny trap, and it can't everyone's ducking as they're playing because the roof's so low. So the ball just kind of pings around everywhere.
Could we make it lots of different angles as well, so you never know which way the ball's going to bounce when it hits the roof? It could be all random.
Oh wow, yeah, absolutely, and just horrific injuries left, right, and centre from ricochets. Yeah, I like it.
We should be doing this.
Does anybody notice that Rocky died? Nope. Interchangeable. Next one up.
Right to the face.
There's DFA.
At this point, we might as well try. Great. Well, I'm glad that didn't get silly. I think we're going to at some point talk WBC. We're actually not far away now from the World Baseball Classic. Russ is planning to go out there for it, which is very exciting. So I think when he is able to join us, we're going to maybe talk through that with him, and I think we'll probably do a proper preview pod for that at some point as well. Talk through Team GB's chances in their pool, some of the other teams and players to look out for. That will be really exciting. I know it's a highlight of the year whenever we have the WBC to watch, and obviously particularly exciting with Team GB taking part, and then a pool that whisper it quietly, they may have a good chance at getting some wins in. And I think the squads for those will also drop soon. I don't know if there's like an actual date they will be officially announced, but there's obviously rumours starting around who GB are looking to announce in their squad. Some quite exciting names that could be in that. So yeah, once that all comes together, we'll make sure we set up some time to talk that through. And there is also a chance still to book a trip out there, either just off your own back, but Home Run Travel are running special packages for fans in the UK to go out and watch their team out there. So yeah, worth looking them up if you haven't.
I looked at those today. They're not bad. Genuinely not bad. I had a look. Like, they're guaranteeing you like a 3-star hotel and stuff, and it's the prices aren't crazy. All flights and stuff. I hadn't really looked much into them before, but I did have a look today, and genuinely, this is not a plug. They're not paying us anything at all. Actually looks like a fairly decent way to go and experience some baseball with some British people. So I think it's genuinely something worth looking at.
Yeah, it takes the stress out of it, at least, of all the things you have to do when you're booking those trips. So yeah, and obviously if you do go, then let us know, and Russ will be out there. Possibly others, we'll see as the time gets closer. I know there's always other fans that make the journeys out there, so shout out to those guys. I had a quick quiz. This is Gav's idea. Is this sort of starter for 10 quiz idea where I am going to give you clues to the identity of a player, sort of starting with difficult ones that you hopefully won't be able to immediately get, and then making them slightly easier if you try and guess who this sort of mystery player is. I think Gav's suggestion was to do it with current players. I've actually gone with a historical player, a now retired player, who you'll both have heard of him, but I thought that might be more fun.
Ruth.
So if you're, well, that's game over. My first clue was going to be was actually shit, so that's that spoiled.
Killed his wife.
Anyone? Any guesses? Right, here we go then. The way I've written this up is as a who am I? So I am this player for the purpose of my description. Okay, so clue 1. I was drafted in the 23rd round of the 1996 MLB draft, and by the end of my career, I became, this is a fun fact, the latest drafted player to lead my draft class in Baseball Reference WAR. So because I was a 23rd rounder, that is the latest selection that a player has ever led his draft class in WAR from. Now, that's a pretty tough one to start with, unless you really know your 1996 MLB draft. But do you guys have any initial clues or guesses as to who this might be? I can't imagine you do, but Darius, I know you do know your players.
I'm not familiar with the 1996 MLB draft, no. So
it feels like a Brave.
Feels like a Brave.
But I mean, don't give us any clues. But it feels like someone from the Braves. That's my
you
that's
think
my
that's
input.
just a Braves thing to do.
It feels like the time the Braves are around. I can't remember names, but there's some guys from around there who I feel like they're going to be the guys. So yeah, it feels like a Brave to me. But I mean, I have no more than that. You're doing all the heavy lifting here, Darius.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to need more clues than that. I think Ben's actually just dropped off.
Dropped off the call.
The suspense is going to be incredible. The only draft pick I could think of who was the player that I thought could remember who was drafted like crazy late was Mike Piazza, but he was like a 40th or 50th round draft pick, wasn't he? And it was like a favour to his dad, basically, that he got drafted at all.
I mean,
When was Mike Piazza drafted? We'll find that out. I'm vamping while Ben comes back.
Let's talk about Mike Piazza. Just to get that, he nearly came back, but then he didn't. Draft MLB. I'm going to shamelessly Google it now.
It was when the draft was really, really big. Do you want to guess what round was Mike Piazza drafted in? 1988.
1988. Okay, right. So
I believe there was no restriction on how many rounds. Like teams could just keep picking until they were done back then.
Oh, this is going to be ridiculous. Like 60th?
Very good. 62nd.
Wow.
There you go. So that when Ben was like, "This is a crazy late draft pick," that was the first player I thought of, but obviously too early for this purpose.
I don't know much about 1996, but so if it's someone from 1996, their career is probably, and they were good. So let's say they played for sort of 15-ish years. They're going to be
at least a couple of years to get to the majors, probably. So
yes,
late 90s through the 2000s. Did he say how many years his career was?
we haven't had that. I'm hoping that might be one of the when he returns. It looks like he's trying again. When he returns, it might be one of the next clues is how many years he played for. But so yeah, if we're assuming he's been like what, so finished at like 2010-ish, that's going to be roughly.
I was going to say probably start the time first few years I was watching baseball, it would have been
exactly, yeah. So he's going to be going at that kind of point. All right,
we've just been talking about
Ben, are you back?
While you've gone, Ben.
I think I'm back. Have you guys been riffing the whole time about who this might be?
We went down a Mike Piazza rabbit hole, but
That's fine. No, I'm a little bit concerned because it told me to stop recording, but I think it's back recording now. Anyway, apologies. Sorry, I don't think you've got it yet, but fun aside, the 1996 MLB draft might be the worst draft of all time. Can I read out the first, 10 names that were picked? Let's go with 5 to start with. Chris Benson, Travis Lee, Braden Looper, Billy Koch, John Patterson. Have you heard of any of those players in your life?
What was the fourth one again? Do that again.
Billy Koch, or Koch, K-O-C-H.
That's it, we're done. Billy Koch.
I have heard of Billy Koch and Braden Looper, I think.
I am Googling Billy Koch. Not on the work computer.
There are a bunch of other names that I hadn't heard of until you get to Mark Kotze at 9, Eric Chavez at 10, Adam Eaton, not that one, at 11. Eric Chavez was good. And then you've got R.A. Dickey at 18, who, obviously also
R.A. Dickey, that long ago, really?
Yeah. But anyway, that was just a slight aside to say the 1996 draft sucked, which is part of the reason why this guy ended up the most successful player from it.
I have a secondary aside. Billy Koch. Sorry, I've not let Billy Koch. Billy Koch is also apparently it's a term for a bowler hat. You're Billy Koch.
Oh, I know why I know Billy Koch, because he was on the 2002 A's.
And you own a hat.
the Moneyball A's.
Well, that's just Billy
I don't remember that being in the movie. I'm pretty sure I would have picked up on Billy Koch.
Okay, right. On to clue 2.
Clue 2.
That Baseball Reference WAR figure that led that draft class was 49.9, accumulated over 13 MLB seasons as a starting pitcher with 4 different teams. Although he actually accumulated negative WAR for 2 of those teams, so he made most of his wins above replacement for just 2 teams.
So that's 13 years in the majors, yeah?
13 years in the majors, starting pitcher, 4 teams.
So presumably it took him 2-3 years to get to the majors. So we are talking roughly 2010, as we guessed whilst we were vamping. Roughly 2010 for the end of his career then. This doesn't help me in the slightest.
No, if I had some teams, I might be able to start Hastic.
Hard, yeah. Okay, clue 3. This is a long one, but it made me laugh, so I'm going to read it all out. I was a free agent for the first time following the 2011 season, in which I put up 2.1 B WAR with a 3.69 ERA across 23 starts. The headlines about me on MLB trade rumours during that offseason go as follows. Blank seeks multi-year deal. Blank seeking 3-year deal. Blank seeks 1-year deal, interest picks up. Many teams in on blank, no deal close. Blank still on Rangers' radar. Asking price drops for blank. Red Sox intensifying pursuit of blank. Agent, no chance of blank relieving. Rangers not likely to sign blank. Phillies considered blank, deal unlikely. Blank could decide on a new team by tomorrow. Blank will now look to sign mid-season. Blank open to playing anywhere. Angels emerging as frontrunner for blank. Rangers to sign blank. So that final one, Rangers to sign blank, is how it finally ended. That was his 2011 free agency as described by MLB Trade Rumors headlines.
Christ.
I don't know if I've ever seen a player have that many headlines on over one off season.
There's got to be somebody good. Or have been good.
Do publish a lot of rumours.
Headlines. I think this blank will play anywhere. That really put the nail on.
Blank will play anywhere.
When you're willing to go to courts, you know that the market is bad.
Okay, clue 4. This one I think will help you get there, or at least get close. I was part of a blockbuster trade that saw me go one way in return for J.A. Happ, Anthony Gose, and Jonathan Villar the other. A trade that would circuitously later allow my original team to eventually land Garrett Cole.
Jonathan Villar. Right, hang on. So
can you read the names in the trade again?
Yeah. So I was traded one way, and going back the other way were J.A. Happ, Anthony Gose, and Jonathan Villar.
So this
helped the team, his original team, to land Garrett Cole circuitously.
Yeah, many years later, if you kind of follow this player got traded for this player, Garrett Cole.
The trade tree ended up.
Ended up.
Who traded for Garrett Cole? Astros. So it must be his original team must be the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Original Astro traded for Cole and VR. But VR was coming from where? He must have been an Oriole? This is much harder than you led us to believe, Ben.
Jonathan VR played a few places as well.
But he's known as an Oriole. That's where he was good, and he was pretty rubbish as soon as he left, wasn't he?
Yeah, was he alright for the Brewers for a bit, maybe? I think he played. Yeah, VR was good as an Oriole, right? Unless I'm thinking of someone else.
I don't really remember these guys playing for this team they were traded from. I mean, VR and Ghost were both in the minors when they were part of this trade, so hadn't made their major league debut yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed it was the other end of the VR, but no, that doesn't make any sense because he would have been too old.
It happens in the majors, but I don't know how good he was at this point in his career.
Okay, so hang on. So I'm thinking of Astros, and I'm thinking 2000 to 2010 starting pitchers who
Astros starting pitchers from back then.
Related lots of WAR.
I probably wasn't watching enough baseball back then, but you say I've definitely heard of this bloke.
Oh, Roy Oswalt.
Yes.
Oh,
very good. Had you heard of Roy Oswalt?
I've heard of him.
Okay, good.
Didn't really play for the Astros though.
He probably was exclusively played, didn't he?
It was a decade he was with them, but admittedly that was probably before I started following the sport. I remember him more as a Philly, which was the team he got traded to, where he was part of that mega rotation with Halladay and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels. And then he ended his career, he went to the Rangers after completely underestimating his free agency value, and unfortunately ended his career with the Colorado Rockies, which was my final clue for you.
Yes.
I don't know if that helped. I remember because I think he was still with the Astros for 3 or 4 years after I started following. Before he went to
so does Darius get points of some description?
Yeah, sure. Darius, you've got the lead.
I've got the lead, okay.
How many points? Is that 2 points? Let's give him 2 points.
2 points. That was basically 4 clues.
4 clues, so he gets 2 points. I'm somebody needs to write this. I'm going to write this down and then never remember where it was again. I've written down Billy Cock, spelt wrong. But Darius, 2 points. 2 points.
I'm going to look up how you pronounce Billy Cock because it's probably something else, isn't it?
Not to us.
Spelt with a K. Coach.
Koch. Says baseball reference. Koch. Billy Koch.
Koch.
I like Billy Cock.
Sorry, Billy. Roy Oswalt, by the way, was
Toby Bellringer.
Oswalt was Hall of Fame eligible in 2019. He received 4 votes and fell off the ballot, but I think definitely a Hall of Very good player. Well, that's it. I think that's everything that we had on our running order.
It was a stacked year, wasn't it? Was that one of those years, 19, where they just had so many guys that if he was on this year, Oswalt probably would have stuck around, but I have a feeling.
That's a lot more WAR than I would have thought he would have racked up, but he was very, very good for most of that decade with the Astros, so good for him.
Good for him. And good for Darius.
That's everything, yeah. Final shout-outs, I guess. Number 1, Gav has produced a brilliant piece of work for the website talking about his trip to the Euro Baseball Championship. I think we were initially going to record with him on this week, which unfortunately didn't materialise, but I think we're going to get him on the pod more this year, even if he refuses to acknowledge that fact, and we're going to definitely get him on soon to talk about that. He had a great time out there, but do go to the website and check out his articles. It is a monster. It's 20,000 words, but it's really worth reading. So settle down with a cup of tea, coffee, or something stronger, and read through that. It's a really nice bit of work. Also on the website is a new series of 2026, reasons for optimism. They're doing 5 reasons for optimism for each of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball. I think some are being produced as we speak for some teams, but I know they're also looking for fans to send in their own sort of submissions for their team. So if you have 5 you want to send in for your own team for the website, then do contact Gav either via the website form or on Insta, or DM the Backflips account, and we'll get to you. So anything else from
I challenge you to
guys?
find 2 for the Rockies.
5 is a stretch. Christ. One reason for optimism: this brand new roof where the ball pings off it in different directions.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Don't think we've missed any breaking news while we've been recording, but I'm sure as soon as we end the call, something will come in. But thank you guys for listening. Thanks, Rob and Darius, for jumping on with me today. We will promise to be back with sooner than we left it after the last one. We're going to put a bit more effort into the pods going forward. So Rob's laughing because I always say that, but we
Heard
are
that before.
We are. So thanks for listening or watching, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.